Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, I got a quick project we're going to be working on today, and this is, again, a little project I'm doing, helping out a viewer on. And I'm doing this for Burt Mitchell, who lives up just north of me up in Lilburn, Georgia, about 3 hours north of where I'm at down here in South Georgia. And Burt's got a machine, I believe he said it was a drill press, that has a gear on it that had some pretty major issues and want me to do a little machine work for him. So let me zoom you in here and kind of show you what we got, show you what we're going to do, and let's get started and get it done. So again, Burke had this machine, and this is a gear that was on it, and as you can see, it has been severely worn over the years. You can see where the teeth have nearly just totally worn that out, and he wanted to replace that. And we talked about some different options, and as it turned out, we were able to determine that this was a 5 diametral pitch, and I think it was 12 teeth on here. Looked at the possibility of just making one, but Burt got online and actually found this one here, made by Martin Gear, which is a 5-pitch, you can see a 5-pitch, 12-tooth gear, and it is the right pitch, the right teeth, everything else. And as you can see, it actually has all the teeth in there, unlike the one that is just worn out here. So instead of making a new gear from scratch, he was able to find this one. But as you can see, it's not just a drop-in replacement by any means. This one here is going to take some work to get it done. So, you know, the thickness is obviously needs to be made much thinner than what it is. And also, the bore on this one is actually, what we determined, larger, I think, than the other bore. Let me measure those real quick. So the original one here, and it's a little bit worn, but it's a 1-inch shaft that goes in there, and we've confirmed that there's a 1-inch shaft that goes through this part and completely through the machine onto some other pieces in there that it rotates on and what have you. And the bore on this one here is about 50 thousandths over an inch. So, you know, that was one of the little bit of issues that we're going to have to deal with. And I think what we're going to do is, when we thin this thing out, we're actually going to bore this out a little bit larger. I'm going to take it up to, I think I determined 1 1/8 inches, and we're just going to go ahead and leave it there. I'm going to make a new shaft, and we'll have a boss on one side that fits this gear, and then it'll go down and be a 1-inch shaft that goes the rest of the way through the machine. And I just figured that'd be easier than trying to put a bushing in here. Also, you can see there was originally a keyway in there. Burt told me that it was kind of looked like it was done by hand, filed out or what have you. I don't think it was broached, but we're going to put a proper keyway in this thing. And part of the reason why I'm going to go ahead and bring it up to 1 1/8 inches, I think that's what I determined, was in my broach kit I've got a bushing. That's the next size bushing that fits here. I mean, I could make a bushing that would fit that right there, but that's a non-standard size. So I'm just going to bore it out a little bit oversized so that my broach bushing goes in here, and we can real quickly broach keyway in here, and, you know, I think job done. So as far as getting this down to thickness, you know, we could go up and chuck it in the lathe and just face. I think, though, to save time, what I'm going to do is we're just going to put this in the milling machine, and I'm going to deck this thing off with a big face mill, get it down close to size. Then we'll go put it in the lathe, and I'll face it true and everything on the lathe once we get it over into the lathe. But I think that's how we're going to approach this. It's just going to be faster to mill it off. If I had a bandsaw that I could actually grip this thing in, I mean, it would be real easy just to cut this with a bandsaw and then go stick it into the lathe, but I really don't have a good way to cut this with a bandsaw, at least out here at my shop now, and it being small like it is, I don't have, even if I took it out to the bandsaw at the museum, I don't have a way to hold this in that particular bandsaw again without making a jig or something to hold it. So we'll just mill it off and then put it in the lathe and cut it to size. So let's go over to the mill and get this thing set up to start reducing its thickness. Got a little small face mill in here, and we're going to go ahead and come in here and start just decking this thing off. We'll take a little bit at a time until we get it completely down to where it needs to be. So here to get touched off. About 100 thousandths depth of cut there. Another measurement on this thickness. We should, let's see where we are. Yeah, so we're about 1 inch, 125, so let's just take it about another 100. That'd leave me 25 shy, so we'll do 90. See where we're at now. Yeah, we're about 30 thousandths over. That gives me plenty to face off there to get my final thickness and so on. So I'm gonna probably let that cool down just a little bit, and then we'll take over and set it up in the lathe and cut it to thickness, face it to thickness, and do our bore. I've got the gear now set up in the lathe, so we can go ahead and face this down and bore it out. Let's see here, we got 3 little pins on the 3-jaw chucks that kind of fit down in these teeth, and that really does a good job of holding that nice and secure. Anyway, that's just the way I've always done gear teeth, and we're gonna make sure we got that in there good and tight. It is. I've already spun it up and checked it. Looks like we're not running out at all on the back side. Of course, I can't really get an indicator in there, but nothing that's obviously running out. So we're gonna go ahead and face this side off. And again, I'm gonna bore this out to 1 1/8. I think I need to go check over there and make sure I got a bushing for that, but I think that's what we decided on, was 1 1/8. And anyway, let's get it done. All right, we're gonna come in here and touch off on this and cut down through here and face it off. I don't think it's quite cleaned up yet. Let's yeah, we've still got a little bit of holiday right in there. Take about another 10 thousandths and that ought to get it. I think that's going to be cleaned up here. Looks like it is. Let's see what our width is. We're about 1 20/20, which is exactly what the original one was measuring. Well, I say exactly, it was going between about 20 to 25 thousandths oversized. So, you know, I was saying we're going to shoot for 1 inch, but I might just leave it right there because that is the size that the other one was. I want to come in here now and just put a little chamfer on the edge of this gear. I've got a cutter in here with a 45-degree profile on it. Everything's clearing right here. Just going to feed in by hand and put a nice little chamfer on there. Something about like that. The other side's more rounded off, but that chamfer will serve the same purpose. Just give some relief over there. I think that looks good. So let's get a boring bar set up now and we'll bore this thing out to size. Got my boring bar set up now. As always, you want to try to use the largest size boring bar you can for the hole that you're boring. It just makes it more rigid, and also you don't want it to stick out any farther than you have to for the bore. Because again, the farther it sticks out, the less rigid that boring bar is going to be. So I've got a boring bar here set up to size. My hole when we started was 1 inch 50 thousandths. We're going to take it to 1 1/8, which will be 1 inch 125 thousandths. So we got about 75 thousandths total to take out in here. So let's get in here and get her done. Come in and touch off. All right, I'm going to come in about 15 thousandths for this first pass. Do 30 thousandths total. I'm here with a snap gauge now, telescoping gauge, and let's just see where we're at. And I usually, when I've got a long way to go, I usually just use my calipers. I just find them quicker and easier to use. So we're about 178, or excuse me, 78, and we need to get over here to 25. So we got about not quite 50 thousandths to take out of there. We got about 20 more thousandths, 21 thousandths to go. So we're at about 20. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and grab my micrometer. Micrometer is always going to be more accurate, and so we're at about 19. So we got about 6 thou to go. I think what I'm going to do is just let this take a spring pass now. I was noticing some back pressure coming out, and we'll see where we're at after that spring pass. So we're at 23. We got 2 thou to go. Tell you what, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more spring pass. We'll measure it again. We're getting down real close. It ain't going to take much to finish cleaning this thing up. And it was still giving me a little bit of back pressure coming out. Not much, but it is still taking just a tiny amount off in there. Let's see where we're at now. We're going to be real close. May have just to shave a little bit. Nope. Right on the money. 125 right there. Good lesson there on those spring passes, particularly with a boring bar. It's just you get some pressure on there. Even as big as that boring bar is and as short of a run it is, you get some flex in there. And those spring passes, when you get down to a couple of thou, it can really make a difference. If you'd have taken a full feed on that, tried to take that 6 or 7 thousandths out without doing the spring pass, and you made that adjustment on your dial, you likely would have been oversized. So anyway, we are good to go. I think we're ready to take this out of the lathe. According to Machinery's handbook, for an 1 1/8" shaft, you need to have a 1/4 inch key. So we need to go ahead and broach this for the key to go in here. So I got my gear. We're going to put it in here. Like I said, I've had a broach bushing that was 1 1/8", so we went ahead and used that. There it goes. And we're going to put a set screw right down in the bottom of one of these teeth, and I want my keyway to line up with that. So we'll just kind of manually come in here, visually come in here and line that up. That's pretty close right there. And we should be ready to go. Let me get some oil and lube this thing up real good. All right, we will engage here. I think that looks good. And push her on through. All right. Now for this 1/4 inch broach, it takes 2 passes. So I'm gonna put a shim behind it. That's a 1/16 of an inch shim. And we'll come through here and we'll take a second pass. Yeah, there we go. Had a little alignment issue there. That broach had kind of gotten a little crooked in there, but we should be able to straighten that up. Yeah, that's cutting much better now. There we go. Next thing I want to do is put a little hole, drill and tap in here for a little set screw, a little grub screw that will just put pressure on this key to keep that in place, keep it on the shaft. So I've got this in here, it's just sitting down on a parallel in the bottom, and because we're going between these 2 teeth, and this is an even number gear, it just fits nice and flush between there, and that should get me lined up straight up and down, and then I've got this lined up on the X and Y here. So we are ready to drill this. This is a number 7 drill bit. We're going to drill and tap it for 1/4 20. We'll go ahead and drill this out. Okay. Well guys, I saw that my card quit recording, ran out of memory space. I'm not sure where it cut off, so just a quick recap here. We got the hole drilled and tapped for the 1/4 20 set screw, and here is my little set screw, and it just screws right in if I don't cross thread it. There we go. And it is just the right thickness for that particular thickness right there. And with that, we pretty well have the gear part of this done. So next is going to be to make the shaft, and we're going to do that in a separate video because I don't have any material here to make the shaft out of. I'll have to go get some. I thought I did, but I don't. So that'll be probably coming up in another video down the road. So there you go, guys. That'll be a wrap on this episode. And like I said, I'll get a piece of metal to make that out of. It's really just a simple little shaft. So it's 9 inches length, total length. Of course, 1 inch of that's going to be going up through here. 8 inches of it needs to be 1 inch in diameter, which is what fits up through the housing on this particular drill. And of course, this part here on this end is going to need to be 1 1/8 inches to actually fit the size of the bore we had to go with, again, because that original bore in the gear was larger than 1 inch. So we just took it to 1 1/8 inches as nominal size. So quick shaft job coming up, and put a key slot in there. We'll key it in place, put it on the shaft, and we'll get this in the mail back up to him. Hopefully I can get this knocked out in the next day or two. Shaft job shouldn't take very long to do, and I'll try to shoot a quick video on that when the time comes. But with that, thanks for watching. As always, guys, if you got any questions, or leave them in my comments. I'll do my best to try to get to them. It's getting hard for me to keep up with all the comments you guys are leaving, but I try to do my best. And then, you know, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you added on. And with that, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.